Hello, and this is Online Searching and Nostalgia, user searching for childhood favorites. I'm Jessica Victoria Gaudio, and I'm doing this for Info 244 Online Searching, and this is the final project presentation. Nostalgia as of now. The 1990s is back, or at least the designs, fashions, films, TV shows, and slang of that era. 20 and 30 somethings are reminiscing about their childhoods. But is that a good thing? Research suggests that nostalgia is a good thing. It can force us to engage with people we normally would not, make us more hopeful and happier, and encourages creativity. Here's some definitions of nostalgia I found in my research. Originally meaning homesickness, this concept has come to include any longing for another place or time. This can be rationalized by considering that individuals in modern society are less attached to a familiar place than in historical times. Those experiencing nostalgia seek to escape from the modern everyday world from which they feel alienated. Or nostalgia can be a voice from below that deserves to be taken account of, thought always with one's eyes wide open, and can have the ability in challenging us to ask exactly what it is that we most want to imagine. How is that reflected in the real world? Nostalgia has always existed for a long time. From 1940s films set in the turn of the century to television shows like Happy Days. The difference is that this is the first generation where young children who started growing up with computer technology in their classrooms have grown into adults and are now able to revive the interest in objects and rituals of their childhood and other past eras in a virtual format. The generation that started growing up with the internet are now adults. Case in point, me. Pokemon Go, the game, is based on the late 90s Japanese anime, is played on mobile phones, and can involve parties of players going out to public places to capture Pokemon. Designs evoking Lisa Frank or Rubik's Cube have made comebacks. Reboots of 1980s and 1990s TV shows, young people reviving styles of decades past. Advertising agencies continually face the challenge of finding new creative tactics that break through the clutter in order to attract and persuade audiences. And this was said way back, even in the early 1990s. The role of BuzzFeed, etc. 27 very, very random things you haven't thought about since the 90s is one article that partly motivated me to start this project. The other was some online and real life searching for an obscure series of books that I read when I was younger. It's kind of similar to American Girl book collection, only this one is called Faithful Friends. And if you thought that the American Girl book collection sanitized history a lot, wait till you got to see the Faithful Friends ones. But I'm a big sucker for earnestness, and beautiful illustrations. So, there you go. Bustle's 11 books about the 90s that will totally fuel your childhood nostalgia is another example of how nostalgic people could look back on their childhood with mature eyes looking back at in hindsight. Hello Giggle cited Dr. Julia Barnes about how nostalgia could simply creates a feeling of happiness. Even if said memories leave one sad, it still gives a bonding opportunity for peers, literally warms our hearts and bodies, makes individuals hopeful for the future, and makes people feel their lives were well lived and can deal with mortality. Isn't that nice? User searching. Many nostalgia addicts or nostalgics can start exercising their nostalgia through internet searches, just like I did, looking for some well-loved childhood books whose titles I couldn't quite place for a long time. Social interaction. Just imagine waiting in line and then talking about, remember when in school they would have us do this for playtime or whatever. Perusing the secondhand and vintage stores. It's always enjoyable, even for just window shopping. It's like, whoa, I remember that, or oh, that reminds me of something Grandma has. According to Roger C. Adden, nostalgic communication provides individuals with the means of symbolically escaping cultural conditions they find depressing and or disorienting, and allows human communication to time travel mentally and allows them some temporary sanctuary from the forces that force individuals to retreat from contemporary reality. In my case, I'm currently looking for a full-time or part-time job or another substitute job. I still live with my parents. And I don't think things are shaping up the way I thought they would when I was a teenager. So just being able to exercise in some nostalgia can make me feel a little better. And it also makes me feel hopeful things will get better soon. And I cited a study by Ye, Ming Gan, and Hui. I'm sorry if I butchered their names. That was not my intention. And if anyone cares to chime in how these names can be better pronounced, feel free to leave some comments. And I did this study for Hong Kong, which stated, recent literature shows that nostalgia is a complex of emotions, which is self-relevant and involves reflection on bygone events and relationships. Although the primary trigger is negative affect, the content of nostalgia is predominantly positive and could enhance creativity by increasing the thinker's psychological well-being and help a person perceive life to be meaningful while warding off external threats and distressing thoughts from invading a person's psyche. So, nostalgia is great for your mental health. My conclusion. Nostalgia can enhance creativity by challenging the thoughts of the individual, especially regarding counterfactual threads in their thoughts. Reconstructing their past, thus smoothing over any possible traumas. A person's self-esteem could be increased and they could be hopeful that, well, things were great in the good old days. They can be just as good or better in the present or future. A future that they could be a part of creating. So that's positive. It's just like people trying to run for office on the basis that they could help create their state to become the state they grew up in as children. Or those running for school board that want the school services to be just as beneficial as they were for children, but in turn they're doing it for a current young generation, even future generations. It would be imperative to suggest that social and psychological researchers, educators, therapists, doctors, and librarians could draw their research through nostalgic books and film and even interview individuals about why they are nostalgic for something from their childhood. This could be a study of several generations or social trends in the world. I hope the research I conducted would be a start for some new studies in nostalgia, studies that could help utilize research to support nostalgia as a positive force for good in the world. And I'm going to show you my ref page. And thank you for taking the time to hear my video, and I hope you all have a wonderful summer, and I hope we all pass the class. Have a great day.